So, Pen, here we are, another wonderful episode of Chit Chat and All That with me, Amanda Prowse.
And me, Penny Dommett. Thank you for joining us for your weekly dose of chatter, where we'll be talking about all the things that we usually discuss round our kitchen table.
I wonder what wisdom we shall be sharing today.
Oh, wisdom might be stretching it. But I have something very exciting to tell you. I have been sent a wonderful message. We talked recently about woods, woodlands, forests, trees, of which, as you know, I love. My favourite place to go walking is through the woods. And somebody sent me this message and said, have you heard of the word dendrophile?
Dendrophile.
Dendrophile. And you know me, I love a word.
You do love a word.
I do love a word. Dendrophile. I'm going to explain to you what it is. Dendrophile. One who finds poetry in the forest's heart, who feels a deep connection with the woods, a lover of trees. Dendrophile is a soul captivated by the whispers of leaves, finding solace in the ancient stories etched in bark. Their heart resonates with the dance of branches swaying in the wind, attuned to the silent yet profound language of the forest. How beautiful is that?
That is really beautiful.
Isn't it wonderful?
And what a lovely, beautiful description of something that's so lovely anyway. I think that's absolutely glorious.
Yes.
Have you been frolicking in the woods recently, Pen? Because I must just say you've arrived today with, you have a twig in the back of your head, I wasn't going to mention it, and you have mud on your face, and one gets the impression you've either had a bit of a rough night, sleeping in a skip, which I suspect, or you've been forest frolicking.
I wish I had been forest frolicking. Try saying that. But no, I've actually been up very early this morning picking flowers for a beautiful wedding in a couple of days' time. So the florist is busy picking them up. So I have picked nearly 500 stems this morning.
Oh, and I must say I am the very lucky recipient of at least a handful of them. What have you brought me today, Pen? They look beautiful.
I have brought you some beautiful tulips. The tulips have started, people. It's so exciting. I love a tulip. Some beautiful tulips. We have some beautiful narcissi, daffodils to everyone else. Lots of different varieties. We have 14 different varieties of narcissi growing on the patch. So yes, they're beautiful and scented and lovely.
They really are lovely. They've lifted my kitchen. Thank you, darling. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Do you know, it's so funny. We were talking a couple of episodes ago about how you came dressed as a custard cream.
Yes, I haven't worn that outfit since.
We can fix it. All you need is a fancy scarf. I'll work with you on that. But I got a lovely message yesterday from Flora's husband. Flora and her husband live up in Scotland, and he said he'd been thinking about the fact that I said you look like a custard cream, and it kind of bothered him. And he said, I've given it quite a lot of thought as to what biscuit you would be, Amanda. And he decided that if I were a biscuit, I would be a Viennese Whirl. Which, do you know what? I love a Viennese Whirl.
I do.
I'll take it.
It's the icing sugar on the top I'm worried about.
They're just so lovely. So that's me, a Viennese Whirl, and you're a custard cream.
Yes. I feel we should get a packet each to sit on the table.
To do a taste test.
Yes, definitely.
And I should apologise because I have an earworm today, and I only know one line of the new, or a Beyonce song that's come out, and that line is woo, and I don't know any words. I just keep doing that. And Penny keeps saying, please learn the next line or stop doing it.
Exactly. Texas Hold'em.
Is that it?
Yes.
And in fact, Penny said, have you got the CD? And I said, yeah, I've got the CD. It's in a box next to my VHS tapes where I keep my xylophone.
What do you say? Album?
Album, your record.
Yeah.
Have you got a record?
A record.
I'm going to get up early on Saturday. I'm going to queue at HMV, Oxford Street.
Do you remember 45s?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
A 12-inch and a 45.
I know.
Yes.
I even slightly, this is terrible, I even slightly remember 78s.
Yeah, I don't.
People listening to this are going to be wondering what on earth we are talking about. If you are under 50 years old, you may not understand that vinyl records that we used to have a record player for, used to come in different sizes.
Not the record players, just the records.
Just the records. My father used to play a lot of classical music, and that often came on the original 78s.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what that number relates to, do you? Is it inches?
I don't know. Oh, is it something to do? Oh, no, hang on.
Isn't it the revolutions per minute?
It is. It's something like that. But we know a man who will know, don't we? Wendy's husband will know.
Oh, of course,
We need to contact him and he will fill us in.
He will.
He knows everything about records and music.
And vinyl especially. So we had 78s in the house, and then the pop records used to be on a 45, which was smaller, and people used to collect them because of the different pictures that they had in the centre, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had a lot of my vinyl up until, I only think about 5-10 years ago, we chucked most of it out. But I used to save up and get a single. Oh, the joy of buying a new single.
Oh, I know.
What's the first single you bought?
Tiger Feet by Mud.
That's right. That's me. I really love those Tiger Feet. Oh, Mud.
I loved him.
Did you?
I loved Mud.
I
still love Mud.
You still do.
Isn't it funny how life goes round?
You spend your life in mud now.
Yes.
That is so funny. So my first single was Michael Jackson's Shake Your Body Down to the Ground.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, I love Michael Jackson.
You still love Michael Jackson?
I do. It's a hard love for me. It's a difficult one. You know.
I remember my first baby, Benjamin.
I'm glad you remember your first baby, Pen.
Benjamin was born. I brought him home. And you know when you have those baby blues and you're a bit fed up? And I remember he would not stop crying, walking around the lounge, singing Ben to him. Michael Jackson, Ben.
Yeah.
And we were both crying together.
Music is so emotive, isn't it?
It really is.
It sort of sticks with you. I was thinking, the things that stick with you, it's odd. I have a real tendency as I get older to really concentrate on the bad things people have said about me in the past rather than the positive. It's like anything negative that anyone said when I was growing up or, one of those sort of throwaway comments to them maybe. It sort of lodged in my brain like a horrid splinter. And when I'm feeling low about other stuff or, I can't do my jeans up or I've just indulged in my 15th, Viennese Whirl of the day, whatever it might be, those thoughts come back to haunt me. Why do we hang on to that negative stuff, Pen?
I don't know. Perhaps it was said to us at a time in our lives when we were very open to that sort of thing. Nowadays, I feel as you get older, you tend to be much more sort of, ambivalent about bad things that are said to you. I know I am. When I was smaller, my hair was incredibly red. And it really was, for me, it was something that I used to beg to have my hair coloured and highlighted.
Oh, Pen, no.
Yeah, when I was quite small, because I hated it so much.
Oh.
When I was sort of between 8 and 10, I suppose, there weren't any redheads to sort of look up to, really. There are a lot of redheads around now at the moment, aren't there?
Beautiful. I love red hair. I love it.
In entertainment and things, there's lots of people, but there weren't any. And
apart from Mary Queen of Scots, I suppose.
She was beheaded, wasn't she?
She was.
And the trouble is nobody wanted to pick me for teams. I was called Ginger Nut.
Oh.
It was all. All the boys at parties used to avoid me. When they sort of pair off at the end of an evening. And I was always the
for
one
snogging
left.
purposes.
Yes, for snogging.
Snogging.
And I was always
snogging
left.
great when you were young, going off snogging. So what do you mean you were always left?
Well, because nobody. I think they thought they could catch my red hair.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
infectious. It was a real issue. I hated my hair.
I hate that so much. I hate that you feel that way because you actually have beautiful hair. And I come from a family of redheads. I have red and ginger brothers and nephews and nieces. And it's just, I absolutely adore it. I always have.
Well, now I'm laughing because, of course, if you have red hair, your hair tends to go sort of salt and pepper and doesn't go immediately grey.
You have gorgeous hair.
But it's really odd how people... kids can be so mean.
They can. But do you know what, though, Pen? I think everyone has something. So I remember very clearly, and I've written about it in my memoir, I remember an incident where I was probably I think I was about 9 or 10 years of age, being out with my brothers and my mum. And my mum was always, as we've said, a very beautiful, sort of quite glamorous lady. And one of her friends said to me, "Oh, there's still time for this ugly duckling to become a swan." And I thought, who's she talking about? And then I clocked that she meant me. And I was like, I'm an ugly duckling. And I knew I wasn't one of the, the pretty or the beautiful or the sporty or the clever or the funny gang. I knew that. I was bang average, and that was all right. But then to think that I was actually ugly as well, which, to some people I will be. Everyone has their own interpretation, don't they, of what is beauty and what isn't. It absolutely floored me. And I remember wanting to just shrink and feeling really small. And that, I think, coupled with the fact that I was always incredibly clumsy. I still am. In fact, you will confirm that this morning, as I'm filling the kettle, I walked into the countertop, which has been there since the day I moved in, and bruised my hip. I nearly dropped a vase that you gave me. I'm cat-candid and clumsy. And the more my family sort of made jokes of it and went on about that, the more that in my mind was something that meant bulky, unfeminine, unattractive. And I think that has certainly influenced the way I feel about myself.
But don't you think all of these things that happen to us when we're young are what mould us into the people we are now? That's what makes the difference. I decided that because of my red hair, nobody wanted to be in the same team as me. So I was going to be the best at sports that I could be. And I used to go out running. I used to do everything I could do. I used to practice tennis for hours against a wall because I thought, right, if they're not going to pick me because of my red hair, they're going to pick me because I'm the best in the whole class. And that's what makes you drive towards the focus that you've got. And that's what's made you concentrate on being as good as you can be.
I think that's probably true. And actually, everyone that you speak to who has some kind of success or confidence, there's always an element of overcoming adversity, isn't there?
Totally. If you get it too easy, why would you bother striving to be any better?
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, I think a lot of that sort of negativity that we hang on to is based in regret. And regret is such a pointless emotion. I often used to think, if only I'd picked that, chosen this, turned left, turned right, said no, said yes, taken that job, left that job. And it's only when I hit my 50s, I thought, you are hanging on to this regret about choices you made 10, 20, 30 years ago. And as I've mentioned, I have a phenomenal memory, which can be a real asset, but can also be really negative because I remember everything. But why am I hanging on to that pen, to decisions I cannot change, that will only negatively affect me then and negatively affect me now because I'm hanging on to it? Let go of that regret, let go of that negativity. And I've been working at it.
I think as well, my sort of theory is that if you can't actually change something, then there's no point in going back over it all the time. There's no point in saying, well, if we'd have done it like this, then this would have happened. No, let's figure out how we're going to do it better next time.
Yeah.
That's the thing to do.
So literally learning by your mistakes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
There are some things, though, that I think I accept now that are part of me, part of my flawed self. One thing is that I'm so gullible, Pen. Are you gullible?
No, definitely not. I am the biggest cynic out there. So if somebody says something nice, I'm thinking, why are they saying that? There's probably some alter ego reason why they need to tell me that.
That's really funny. I am so gullible. And it used to cause me great shame because I believed everything, especially, and this makes me sound like a right dum-dum, if it was written down. And if something was in a newspaper, it was like, well, it must be true. I read it in the newspaper. Or I heard it on the radio. It must be true. I mean, gosh, in this day and age where, we've got everything from deep fake to political agenda to goodness knows what else, you have to question everything. But I never questioned anything. I was sort of a real sponge.
So, for example, do you not ever read your own reviews for books?
I never read my reviews.
Never?
No.
I couldn't resist.
No. I read, I am so grateful for everyone that reviews my book because they are the lifeblood for authors. They really are. And so because I take them so to heart, my husband very, very kindly will pull off a few and give me a précis of the stats for the reviews. So my grade point average, what that book is scoring on different sites and how people feel about it. If there's a common thread, someone might say, I love this character or I love that moment and he say, this is something that people were highlighting again and again. And I go, that's wonderful. And I say, are there any bad ones? He goes, yeah, a couple. And I say, what were they? He said, it's things like, I thought it was a thriller and it's not for me. Or some of them are just downright, my 12-year-old daughter could do better, which is, really mean. And you know they haven't read it. You can see they haven't read it and they haven't bought it. And it's all a bit, subjective. And that's fine. You lay yourself open to that. And I'm happy to say the majority of my views are absolutely fantastic. But I found with my first book, I read every review, and I cannot tell you, the 800 whatever 5 stars that came in, but I can tell you the 1 star that was like a knife, a dagger in my breast. So I tend not to do that because for that very reason.
But I can say I read every single review, especially about the podcast. And can I say what lovely, lovely messages we've had?
Amazing.
We really have had some. Thank you, everyone who has bothered to message. And there's been a couple of reviews on the podcast doodah thing, techno thingy. And people have bothered rating us.
I know.
Thank you.
It is phenomenal.
So much.
It makes such a difference to us.
Well,
doesn't
and
it?
I do read every single one. And that is just me. I have to know everything about everything.
Yeah.
I can totally understand why you don't like reading your reviews for your books, although I read all your reviews for your books. So I'll let you know, don't worry.
I just think it's so subjective, isn't it? It really, really is. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have some incredible listeners, which we're truly thankful for. Christine Perkins needs to get a mention. I mean, literally, it is so funny. I adore this woman. Every time she's listening to an episode, she will send us a response saying, oh, yes, no, I don't like skiing either. Or, oh, yeah. And it's just wonderful because the whole point of Chit Chat and all that is that we want you to pull up a chair at our kitchen table.
Totally.
And she's doing exactly that.
Definitely.
Which is quite wonderful. I suppose, going back to being gullible, a good example would be to tell you that I have a phobia of frogs. Do you know this?
I hate them as well. So if one enters this room, we don't stand a chance.
We are gone.
We are gone.
There'll be silence and no one will know why.
Well, you'll hear the shrieking first.
I hate frogs. I hate looking at them. I could never touch one. They're just like, blah. And I said to Simeon when we moved in here, I said, I'm really worried. We've got, a big garden. Do you think we'll have a frog? And he said, well, of course he won't because we're on top of a hill. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, if you live on top of a hill, the frogs need to be at sort of, ground level. They like to be near water and riverbeds and they won't come to the top of a hill ever. So you're quite safe. You can wander around barefoot. You're not going to tread on anything squelchy, which is my one fear. And I said, oh, I didn't realise that. I said, but hang on a minute. My mum and dad live on the top of a hill and they had a frog in their garden. And he went, that would have been dropped by a seagull. And do you know what, Penny? He told me that years ago and I never questioned it. I was on national television. This is absolute truth. And I was speaking to someone on a panel and I said, actually, I'm scared of frogs, but I don't have to worry because I live on top of a hill. And they looked at me and said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, obviously, frogs can't. And as I was telling the story, I realised that Simeon had just said it to sort of placate me.
Well, I mean, I think I'd probably think twice about believing that one. Bless him.
That'll be the cynic in your pen.
Yeah, totally. But I hate frogs too. And of course, whilst we're working, doing maintenance in people's gardens and things, or planting, we occasionally come across a frog.
Right.
And I think it's the jumping at you.
Oh, stop it.
It's the jumping at you.
Ooh.
So, yes, shrieking, lots of shouting, running to the opposite end of the garden.
But you love your job. You absolutely love your job. You love what you do. You are, if we cut you open, we'd find flowers. That's a nice thing thought, isn't it?
Mud. You'd find mud.
Mud and flowers. But Pen, if you could do any job, if you had your time again, or there was the whole job library in the world was open, and they said, Pen, pick a job. For example, I see you running Kew Gardens.
Then I'd have to deal with the general public.
Oh, that wouldn't work.
I'm not very good with the general public.
You'd have to wash your hair every day for a start, which wouldn't work. So
no, that definitely wouldn't work.
But what job would you do? What would you have?
Well, when you get into the 5th year, because of course they don't have those anymore.
No, I don't know how I don't know how old anyone is because they say, oh, they're year 7. I'm thinking, I don't know whether they're about to put on a tie and go to work or whether they're still nappy training.
No,
I don't know.
Nor me. Anyway, I probably would have been just about to take my O-levels. Mm-hmm. And of course, you used to have to do work experience. Do you remember doing work experience?
I do.
And I decided talking was a really good job. So I decided I wanted to be a speech therapist.
Oh, Penny.
Yeah. But I couldn't get work experience with a speech therapist. Nobody would do it. Mm. So I thought, well, perhaps I won't bother doing that. So I gave that up. But what job would I do?
So did you not have work experience then at all?
I did. I worked in a sports centre.
Doing speech therapy?
No, weirdly,
Pick up the ball and pronounce your S's.
balls.
Is that just a general commentary pen on life? Or was that a...
But what was so weird, this was at Bath Sports Centre. I decided, wouldn't that be good? I could just do sports all week.
Down there on the river?
They decided to put me in the stationery cupboard in the office to sort out the stationery. So I'm in the stationery cupboard in my little gym kit.
Oh, oi, oi.
Sorting out the stationery. I thought,
did you have any visitors? Into the cupboard?
Actually, that would have been more interesting. But it was so boring. I was bored to tears.
That's really cruel, because they were actually just getting you to work for them, weren't you? Rather than...
But I think I should have been a teacher.
Oh, you are a teacher.
Well, yes, but I wish I had been a certified, bona fide
a pen,
teacher.
I think certified is certainly on the cards, but that's really weird. I can see you being a teacher.
Yeah.
What do you taught? English, obviously.
No, I don't think well, it definitely wouldn't have been maths.
Definitely not maths. Or geography.
Or physics.
Or anything clever clogs.
Yes. Art. I could have taught art.
Oh, of course, you're a brilliant artist.
Well, not really.
You are. No, you are. And I don't like it when you say you're not, because...
Two of my nephew and his lovely wife, Jo, who is the best teacher I have ever known. I wish I could go back and have her as my DT and art teacher. Oh. She is absolutely incredible. Whoever's being taught by her is very lucky. But I think I would have liked to have been a teacher.
I can see you doing it. I think you'd have been marvellous. See, I've been thinking about it. What would I like to do? And I would love to have been a midwife.
Yes.
Oh, Pen, that glorious connection to women at that most important time of their lives when they're vulnerable and in need and it's life-changing. I think that would be amazing. And I was reading recently that Jules Verne has retrained to become not Jules Verne.
Jules Verne is dead. Jules Verne is a little... that's the author in you. I was thinking, Jules Verne, isn't that,
round the world in 80 days, delivering babies as I go. Not Jules Verne. Not Jules Holland. He's a musician, is he? No,
he's a pianist.
He's a pianist.
No, Jules Holland.
Definitely
yes,
not.
He is a pianist.
Yeah, not a midwife. Jules Oliver. Jules Oliver, definitely not Jules Verne.
Sorry, Jules, if you are listening to this podcast, that you came fourth down the list of Jules.
Yes, Jules Oliver is retraining to be a midwife, I read. So as we've said, what I read, I believe to be true. Maybe it is. She was in a podcast, I think, talking to the lovely Lorraine Candy, and she was saying how she wanted this change of career. And I thought, I totally get that. I think it must just be the most wonderful privilege to be there at that moment.
Have you watched Emma Willis?
No.
Training to be a midwife
on
TV. Oh, Mandy, you would love it. Absolutely love it.
I wish I had a TV.
I love Emma Willis, full stop.
Yes.
But yes, I can't remember what the programme is called because you know me, I don't have a memory at all.
You don't have a memory and I don't have a telly. This isn't going to go well.
But yes, it's really fascinating and sort of seeing her. She's worked her way up through the correct procedures to get to be able to attend births. Definitely worth watching.
So is that her future career? Is it a career change for her?
I don't think so. I think, it started out as a TV project. But I know she is actually getting the qualifications for it. So
amazing.
Yeah, it is really, really interesting.
I mean, nurses, oh my gosh, they are just, I love our nurses so much, Ben.
Can I just go back to midwives?
Yeah.
Because when I had my second son...
Do you remember it? It looks like you're hesitating there as if you can't remember. Which was it, first or second? They all blend into one after a while, don't they? Do you have loads of photos of the first and none of a second?
Yes.
And then when they look, they go, yeah, no, that's you, definitely, that's you.
Totally. I literally said to my midwife, will you shut up? Because you're very in the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
Very in the moment. And she was trying to be very encouraging, but oh my goodness, did she ever go on. So I just remember looking at her and saying, please, will you just shut up? And I hope that she just knew I didn't really mean it and it was nothing personal.
Penny, that's hilarious. I'd love to hear about people's experiences around midwifery and giving birth and any funny stories they've got to tell. You know, did your husband or partner faint? That's always my absolute favourite. As though it's just too much for them, the poor loves. You know, forget what's going on down the business end. It's like, oh, it's all too much. I absolutely love it. And what job would you hate to do, Pen? What would be your worst job?
Definitely, I don't even have to hesitate here. Driving. Anything involving driving.
Really?
I mean, you know, if I've got to go out of the county, I come out in hives.
That's so
but
funny.
yeah, I'm just not a good. I think I'm surrounded by good drivers,
Myself
the family,
included.
of course.
Yeah.
And consequently, I am made to feel that I'm an absolutely useless driver. I don't think I am.
No, you're not.
But yeah,
Parking's dodgy, but your driving's all right.
But the idea of driving miles in a day. I mean, my other half used to drive for a living, and he'd say, "Oh, I'm going to Cornwall this morning. I'll be back later." I mean, that would just fill me with horror.
Do you know what, Pen? That's really funny because driving would be right up on my list as a fabulous job. Our son, Ben, is part qualified as an HGV driver, and that's what he's working towards. And I think the idea of getting in that cab, putting your music on, having your little packed lunch on the seat next to you and just driving I think it must be blissful.
That would be blissful if there was no one else on the road.
Yeah, probably true.
No idiots on the road. But yeah, I mean, it's so stressful. I don't know how people do it.
No, I would love
just
that
don't.
actually. It's funny, isn't it? I also think my worst job goes, again, without hesitation. I used to work with a girl in a call centre and it was quite a ropey job and we had to make cold calls and it was just really tricky. And I said, this is hard, isn't it? And she said, no. She said, before this, I worked in a chicken factory. And I said, chicken factory? She said, yeah. She said it was processing cooked chickens. And her job, she told me this, I've never doubted it, but then again, we have established I'm rather gullible. Her job was to cut the elastic bands that held the cooked chicken legs together so they could remove the cooked chicken and package them. And so she was cutting these bands, and obviously the fat and the legs and the gunk was spraying on her plastic, apron as she did so. And she did that for like 8 hours a day.
Oh my goodness.
She was covered in chicken splatter. I mean, as a, die-in-the-wall vegetarian, it literally, I still think about it.
Perhaps it was the overall. Do you remember we talked, I love an overall. That's what it
an
was.
overall.
Yeah, I love an overall.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I have another job that, of course, I knew I should have, I definitely was destined for, to be Donny Osmond's wife.
Oh, Pen.
That was going to be my job in life.
There are
Totally.
there are two sorts of women of our age, those that would have married Donny and those that would have married David Cassidy.
Yes. Well, I was thinking, it was a hard decision.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been because David was mine.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
So it would have been very straightforward.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Imagine that kitchen table.
Oh, God. Partridge Family. Oh, that I just loved it. Partly because it was set in America and everything in America was just amazing, wasn't it? It was like, oh, look, they've got big fridges and they eat donuts and they speak like that. I want to be American. I just loved everything about America. And David Cassidy was so beautiful.
He was so beautiful, but not as beautiful as Donny.
I never found Donny beautiful.
Can I tell you, it was pretty incredible because a couple of years ago, I actually got to meet him.
Stop it.
I did.
No.
I did.
Pen.
He was a guest judge on The Masked Singer.
No.
Which, of course, my son Joel presents. And Joel
I can't cope.
Very sweetly said to me, would you like to come up, Mum, to the recording? We've got a guest judge. And I went, oh, right, okay. Yeah, that'd be fine, thanks. And he said, yeah, it's Donny Osmond. Well, you should have seen the smoke off my shoes.
What did you wear?
Well, it was very difficult. I changed 18 times.
I wish people could see the way your face has just come alive. Your eyes are sparkling. She's sat forward. She's just brimming with joy.
I was so nervous. It's quite short.
Ah.
He is quite short.
Yeah.
But he was very, very lovely.
Yes.
So it didn't ruin my childhood memory of him being the most perfect man on earth.
I love that, Pen.
Yes.
Because often when you do meet your heroes, it can be sometimes a little bit disappointing.
I'll post a photo.
Oh, please.
I will.
You got photos?
I have a photo.
Is it him grinning and you sort of fawning going, oh, Donny, all weak-kneed and misty-eyed?
We were all Joel kept saying was, Mum, you're standing by the bin. Could you move over a bit?
That's so funny. I always, whenever anyone says, if you could be anyone from history, past, present, or, indeed future, who would you be? And I always say Mrs. Billy Ocean, obviously. I love Billy Ocean.
Really?
Oh, Pen. Billy Ocean's voice, his songs, everything. Joshy bought Simeon and I tickets to go and see Billy. And
first name terms.
Obs. And I thought, this is going to be just lovely. What a lovely afternoon we're going to have. Standing in the sunshine, watching Billy Ocean perform his songs. And I think he was, at this point, if not mid-late 70s, possibly even older, he could still move and dance like he did when he was much, much younger. His voice was pristine, but what was the most incredible thing about the concert was there were thousands of people like me, all these 50-somethings just staring, absolutely besotted at this incredible human being who was singing and dancing and taking us right back, to our teenage years. It was phenomenal. So I always say, I'd be Mrs. Billy Ocean. Lovely.
Oh, no, I have that. I mean, Take That. Been to see Take That?
Oh, yeah, I've seen Take That.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, it was the year that Robbie came back.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know.
I saw them quite recently at Ashton.
Coffee Morning.
I saw them at Ashton Gate in Bristol. They did a concert there. And they were great. I think there was only 2 of them. Maybe 1. I'm not sure. It certainly didn't look like Take That. I was like, is any more coming on the stage? Oh, no, it's just them. But they were phenomenal and they sounded brilliant. But I have to say, Rick Astley was the support act and he stole the night.
Really?
He was absolutely incredible.
I like his stuff now. He's brought out
He's brilliant.
a couple of vinyl records.
A couple of 45s. But this was literally, it was only a couple of years ago. And Rick Astley came on and said, I know you don't want to see me, you want to see Take That. But I swear to God, after he'd said that, it was like, actually, no, we want to see you. He was brilliant. Is he playing at Glasgow this year? I think he might be. Glasgow, see what I did there?
Have you ever been?
No, Penny.
No. I just don't think I could cope with the conditions, even though mud is my third name.
It is your thing, and you have a suitable array of Wellingtons.
Yes. No, I couldn't. I just don't fancy it, really. I quite fancy going to say I've been.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I have been to music festivals, but I've never been to Glastonbury. The boys have been, Simeon's been, but no, not me. I think those days are behind me.
Perhaps we should make ourselves go.
Do you know what I was thinking? We spoke a little while ago about having a bucket list. Maybe we should have a pre-bucket list. Is that such a thing? Where not actually our bucket list, but things we want to do to see whether it should be on the bucket list or not. A rehearsal bucket list. So all the things that we think maybe we're missing out on, so like Glastonbury or a festival or skydiving.
Oh, no, I don't want to do anything like
Frog
that.
handling.
I really, really don't want to do that.
Sitting through the hairdressers.
There are things that we could, instead of calling it a bucket list, we could call it things I've never done, but I want to try before I go.
Oh, I like that.
It's a bit of a long name.
It's bucket list is shorter.
Yeah, it's not very catchy.
Not catchy.
But on it, I definitely would want, I'd like to try and plant a vertical wall. Never done that.
You mean like bricks?
Have you never seen plants that form a wall?
Oh, like with the arms that come out the sides.
I haven't seen one with arms coming out the sides.
Yeah, Wendy's got one.
Oh, has she?
You told her about it. It's got those arms that come out the tree and they hold hands and the branches knit together and it goes on a thing. I'm aware that my description is failing me.
Pleached trees.
That's the one.
Yeah, no, that's...
Are you saying peached?
No, pleached. Pleached trees are very beautiful. They are very beautiful. Very clever how they... You plant these trees and they're grown in such a way that they're almost flat, and then you bind the branches together and it forms like a hedge that's at head height and higher. It's very pleaching. Pleaching.
I should Google that, Ben.
Yes, very good. But no, this is literally growing plants, quite short plants. You can have grasses and things that are in a vertical wall. I've never done it. And as a gardener, I would love to try that. That's one of the things. I've also never seen Shakespeare live.
Oh, Penny. You're missing out. We need to go to Regent's Park Open Air Theatre.
Oh.
I used to go when I was a kid at school.
Really?
Oh, it's amazing, yeah.
I don't know why I'd like to do that.
I could do that with you.
I really fancy doing that.
Also, wouldn't it be great if anyone listening gave us their suggestion of things we should put on our things to do before we go that isn't called a bucket list list?
Yes.
So please let us know your suggestions. How can people get hold of us, Penny?
Definitely contact us at the Chit Chatters.
That's our Instagram page. And wherever you listen to your podcast, please give us a follow, press the little subscribe button and tell your friends. Thank you so much for listening to us, and until next time, take care.
Bye.